we're going to cover some basic stuff. And as we go along, if you have a question or you would like to talk within this room, open it up and talk about your experiences, please feel free to jump right in. Probably the biggest thing for me when I think about music preparation is that we all have the same basic needs. All of our needs, in my opinion, boil down to the amount of time we have, the resources we have, and our level of our sense of humor on that given day. Okay? If we, in the best of all possible worlds, we have enough preparation time for us to do our best work so that the musicians can get the best possible parts so that they can do their best job so the audience gets the best performance, and then we just repeat the cycle. You know, all of us are only too aware that when we are not seen, we have done our best work. The most dreaded words to me in the library are, "Marcia to the stage, please, Marcia to the stage." Because that means something really has gone awry, and we don't want to have that happen. All of us have different space and financial resources or limitations of those resources, and each of us has to come to grips with what we can do to make the best of our situation. When I first started out with the National Symphony, our library was in the basement of the Kennedy Center in what was originally designed as the men's dressing room. It was a space maybe as wide as this room, but only 10 feet across. And we had all of our music, the ever-present photocopier, 2 workspaces crammed into this little space, and amazingly enough, we had enough room around in front of the file cabinets for a wheelchair because the part-time librarian at that point in time was wheelchair bound, and he can actually maneuver in this tiny little space. Back in the days when I taught public school, I can remember only too vividly having a school where I had to teach my class of strings in the boiler room. And some of us have situations that are less than optimal. Okay, I'm hoping none of you are in the boiler room. But I know that there are those of us in this profession who have less than optimal situations. I will say that the library now has a very lovely space up above the stage that used to be the Kennedy Center attic. And they redesigned it for the library, and the layout is not quite what I had hoped for, but it's mostly because we had a weight-bearing beam in the middle of the room. So that kind of determined how they did what they did. But it still is a real blessing of space and light. No windows, but lots of lights. And you just have to adapt with what you have. Some of you have libraries that are not even remotely connected to the hall, and you have to schlep things, back and forth. And I am sympathetic to that. So just, take your resources, try and make the best of them, but don't give up on getting something better. Okay, keep working on getting better things. Sense of humor is probably a little too obvious. However, if we have a library with a sense of humor, I can guarantee that your musicians are going to be a lot more upbeat with you, and they will probably not come in and need the psychiatric care that they might need otherwise. Okay? If you come in, if you're up and you're at them, and sometimes we can't be, we have to work at being up and at them. When they come in, they're going to see that approach from you, and it will temper what the attitude they're coming in with. So time, resources, and that sense of humor, really, go get them. Go get them. I am accused on our staff of being a bit of a Pollyanna, and it's a hat I wear proudly. So, in terms of time, a real buzzword in corporate circles is time management. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. So I have a little opening exercise for you. I'm going to pass out this piece of paper. I only brought 25 of them, so some of you can talk, you can share. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to look at this and decide what your responses will be. Uh-oh. And then we'll talk about it. You guys are going to have to share, and you guys can share. Everybody's friends. You can change some of these words to fit your particular musical situation. If you are a band, you can adopt band language. If you're a conservatory, you can adopt ensemble language. Okay? And let me just say that this is a true life scenario taken from the history of the National Symphony Orchestra.
Question.
Yes?
G, the morning rehearsal, that's the rehearsal that's about to happen?
Yes.
And that applies to A also?
But this is very similar. So what do you think is the most important thing we have to do first? Trombone player. Now, what's missing in this sentence?
Which trombone player and which piece?
Thank you. Which trombone player and which piece? Okay, but the fact of the matter is, we have to service this person's need because it's for that morning's rehearsal. And if he or she is missing the whole last page, that's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Okay? All righty. What do you think is next?
G.
The assistant conductor in the score.
Do we have a consensus on G, the assistant conductor? Now, some people might say, he should already have his score. What's the issue here? Or other people might say, he should know where to pick that up in the library. Well,
What if it doesn't exist, but maybe you had to make a score?
there you go. That could be. Or what if it's a new assistant, what if somebody else was to have been the cover conductor and this guy walks in or gal walks in and is somebody completely new? Or what if they have a different edition? Okay? But he or she obviously needs to have this score right away, so poof, that's number 2. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. What do you think is next?
E.
C? Any votes for anything other than C?
I'm voting for E.
E? C and E?
Because, well,
C's coming up the soonest.
well,
C?
yeah, C is coming up the soonest, but like, for me, since I'm on the West Coast, like, different orchestration might mean you have to order that music, soon. So if I want to talk to them before 2 o'clock, whatever the edits are, they're probably not going to take, 6 hours of work. So
Well, we hope not, because then your
Right.
orchestra would be
Yeah.
basically sight reading a concert they've already done.
in my
Okay?
case, I'm not allowed to make edits after the first performance.
This is a good thing.
Yeah.
If John Van Winkle were here, he would entertain us all with MTT changes between shows. And this is a real bone of contention for the San Francisco musicians, because Mr. Tilson Thomas loves to alter things between performances. Now, we're not talking wholesale changes, but they'll go out on the stand and they'll see little notes from the maestro before the concert starts every night.
We were doing that at New World all the time.
All-
And we only did 2 concerts for them. So Saturday night after the concert, they're staying late for the Sunday afternoon.
Exactly.
All the time.
So these two are pretty interchangeable, really, okay? Because obviously, no librarian wants to hear that the soloist has decided that she wants to do the orchestration for her piece. Now, if you were to have this happen, what could be a response to this soloist that's printable? It's not available. Perhaps it's not available, and that could be a real, true statement.
Have you done it before?
Oh, have you done it before, and when? Did you do it last week with somebody or a year ago with somebody? Okay, it could become a real issue if you're talking a piece like, well, this is more addition as opposed to orchestration, but Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 4. You have to be very specific with your soloist as to which version of that you're going to do. We learned the hard way that there's a more revised edition than we thought there was. But we had a very gracious soloist who just happened to know the other version and did it with us. But that can be a very scary thing. And this is, again, where the time factor enters in. Depending on where you are and what the piece is, it's possible that you cannot get the music in time for the rehearsal. And the soloist needs to know that. The soloist has to know.